Hi everyone, this is Gene, and today we are at Suncorp Group doing our CITP class project, career project. We have here Ms. Harika Enchenta to interview with us. She is a business analyst at Suncorp Group. Hi Harika.
Hi guys, thank you for having me here.
Thank you. So let's start with the question of can you tell us a bit about Suncorp Group? What does it do for those of us who are not really familiar with it?
Okay, sure. So Suncorp's a banking, insurance and a financial corporation. We look at offering several products based on finance, insurance and banking. Things like life insurance, superannuation, car insurance, and we're one company, many brands, such as if you guys have heard of Amy, Bingle, Just Car, they're all part of the Suncorp.
So can you tell us a bit about your academic background?
So I've completed a degree in engineering and I've majored in software.
Which university did you attend?
So I went to Macquarie University.
Okay. Can you share a bit of professional background with us?
Cool. So while I was at uni, I did some normal jobs such as working as a lab operator, working at the uni. But as part of my actual degree, I started off as an intern at Suncorp in 2013. For 3 months, I did a 3 months internship program followed by working part-time for about a year, and then I rolled over into their grad program that they offer at Suncorp. And I've been a BA ever since I started as an intern because that was the area that I wanted to get into.
So you stayed with Suncorp for
2.5 years.
Let's talk about business analyst. So what are the skills do you think required on this role?
So as a BA, I'd like to say a BA is kind of like a communication bridge between the business, the stakeholders that we have in IT. So communication is a very important skill set to have, as well as being able to problem solve and kind of negotiate, as well as gather in requirements from the business, understand what it is that we would like to deliver or what the end product is.
What about other skills that are not required but it will be very beneficial on the role?
Things like planning and management, planning in terms of what the delivery of a product is going to look like, and planning in terms of allocating them in small tasks and resource allocation, who will be working on what, how are we going to split up the work between one another, what our monthly goals are, establishing things like that will help as part of this role because you have more of a broader understanding of the end-to-end delivery of the project as well as just what your role encompasses.
Can you take us through about your daily work life?
Yep. So my daily work life would include so my iteration manager will allocate story cards. Story cards have features on them that we'll be delivering. So she'll allocate features that I will need to start working on. So I engage with the business and the stakeholders that we have. I gather the requirements. So an example would be say a web page. I'll find out from the business what it is that they would like to have on the web page, what the content is, what the user interface is going to look like, what the functionality, what sort of functionality we'd like to place on the website and how it interacts with our back-end system. So I formulate all of these requirements and I sit with the devs and the QAs to check whether it's feasible, whether we can deliver within the time frame that we have, and then I'll pass it on to the next step in our life cycle that we have.
How do you weigh the communication and technical aspect of your job?
Oh, I think that both are just as important. Communication is very crucial because that is what you're doing. As I've said before, as a BA, you are the communication bridge between IT and the stakeholders. You work with the stakeholders, engage with them, liaise with them, get all the requirements you want, and then you will whether it's documentation or whether it's just, you'll have to feed it back to your developers and testers so they have the same knowledge and the overview as you do. So yeah, going back, communication is very important as well as the technical side. You can understand the business importance of a certain feature, but is it technically really feasible? You will have to conduct analysis technically, as well as understand the benefits of delivering such a feature.
In terms of challenges, do you have any communication challenges with stakeholders, say, or with other clients or colleagues? on
So
Google?
like when I first started, like you do work with your stakeholders to gather requirements, and sometimes it's challenging in the sense they say they want a piece of work done. This is the feature they want. But you don't know how to negotiate. You do have a certain time frame that you must get these features in by. And you start estimating how long a piece of work will take to do. And sometimes the work that they ask for cannot be delivered within that time frame. That's when you kind of have to communicate, negotiate with them and let them know, hey, this is what we can deliver within the time frame. But it also involving like, you know, your other seniors above you, so that's like your iteration managers who will cut in and who will like work with you in terms of informing the business. And like when it, like you have to be able to push back on things that the business asks you to do sometimes. Because again, we have time constraints, we have resource constraints, so we must like comply with everything. Another bigger challenge is we have distributed teams at Suncorp, so we have teams in Chengdu, Pune, like Perth. So when we're communicating, we rely on like conference calls or like just on the phone or like link messages or emails, and sometimes a lot of it gets lost in translation. I can say I want a box, but for them it can be perceived as something different. It's translated to just a box, like, if you get what I mean, like. And a lot of it, like, we can't just send what we want in a piece of email because they're going to like translate it differently down there. So we have to be very thorough with all the, like, with our team members across like in different areas. There are always challenges there, like they don't get to like involve because, and again, the time differences that we have. It's sometimes very difficult. Like I can conduct my analysis in the morning, give out a card to the devs in the afternoon. They're not involved in some of the meetings I have in the morning, so therefore it's quite challenging to then go back and update them with whatever's happened and to make sure they're aligned with what we're doing.
What about some technical aspect of challenges?
Technical. Yes, like because I'm a business VA, sometimes when the developers work on cards that I've passed on to them, they'll come back and they say, hey, we're having errors, this is the error. And for me, it's really hard to process what the error is. Again, this comes down to like the distributed teams, like, they're based in Chengdu and say this is the error we're getting. How do I replicate that error? Like I don't have that technical understanding, and it takes a few sessions to be able to grasp what they're on about or clearly understand what it is that they're saying before we go resolve the issue.
So it all comes down to communication.
How you communicate, how you articulate what the issue is and how you understand it. And sometimes there are things that just cannot be solved in one meeting. It takes several meetings for them to kind of come out and say what they really mean or what their understanding of something is. And vice versa, that's the same with us.
So is it fair to say even in technical challenges, communication is still a key part of it?
Yeah, communication is one of the most important aspects of your day-to-day jobs, yeah.
What about, is there any other ethical dilemmas you're facing on the rule?
No, not really at Suncorp. Like we are pretty diverse here. Diversity can be many things, right? Like hiring people from different races, or as well as like hiring women in IT. So not so much. We do have female leaders at Suncorp, and they're very they're really focused on developing like more female members in the IT industry.
As a female employee in the IT industry, how do you think that there is any problem that we should be addressing on the diversity issue, not necessarily in Suncorp, but in IT industry as a whole?
So when I started engineering, I was one of the only 2 girls in my year. So like 2 out of like 100 boys, I mean, like there's not many, it's such a very low percentage. And I think like that should be addressed from like a very young age to kind of like, I think they should let young girls know what IT is about and kind of like start from an early age, as in like high school, give them a taste of what engineering's like, what computer studies are like, and kind of push them from there. Like there is a lot of focus in, say, like MA, like in an area like science, but we do have this notion that engineering is more male dominated, and a lot of women don't go into it. But I think if you do give a taste of what engineering is like, or computer science, or whether it's just IT, I think it will kind of really push the women to kind of go out there and actually give a trial in that study or take up a small course.
Would you say that throughout your education background, were you at all be intimidated by the large difference racial in between male and female in IT industry?
Not so much work, but when I was studying, because like, not that I would think we were a minority, but we were a small percentage at uni. There wasn't a difference in terms of the way we got treated, but you yourself, you feel, oh, there's only a small percentage of us as women in there, like, do we have the same opportunities? You question yourself. You're like, you know, will it be the same when I graduate? Can I like get a job as easily as like another like male in my class? But yeah.
Did that eventually become your motivation?
Yeah, it does, because then you're like, no, you want to be treated equally. I never had any issues with being treated differently, but it's just when you're such a small percentage, all of a sudden you're not seen as just another team member in class. It's like, oh, hey, that's the other female in class. Already, like, they've put this notion on you as the female in class, not so much, hey, just another one of us. As I said, like, when I was at uni, like, because we were a minority, like a small portion, it was like a bit more difficult in terms of like in class or when it came to asking questions. Like, we were given a good preference, like all the lecturers, all the tutors, they would be very nice to us. But it wasn't a big issue, but it was just more like, I was always like, will it be the same once I go out into the industry? And you want to make sure that you have the same opportunities just like any other guy, or just, you know, you want to be one. It's not based on gender.
Do you think there's anything else we can do to improve upon this issue?
Like, as I said, it's educating, like, you know, everyone from a young age to make sure they're pushed into whether it's just the IT industry, any industry where there's like a low percentage of women. Yeah, again, it's like a cultural thing, right? Like, you know, for example, with Indians, a lot of them do go into IT, commerce, and medicine. It's a cultural shift. You should be able to apply for any role. So it starts, you know, from like your parents educating you as well. Another thing, some companies just hire for number figures. Like, oh, you know, we do hire women, like 10% of our 100% hire women. It's not just about number figures. It's about making sure that you do incorporate women into your, like, you do hire women because of the skills that they have, not so much for filling in the percentage of saying, yes, we are a diverse company and we do hire women. It's more than that. Being able to see them for the skills that they have, for the, like, you know, for the knowledge and the capabilities that they have. I think every employer should see that when they're hiring women, not so much around like the number figure. There's a conference that I went to last year in, it happened in June at the Hilton. It was called Agile Australia, and that's what they spoke about. They were like, you know, as women, we are a small portion in the industry, but why is it that we always get treated as a minority, like, you know, as if it's an issue? Like, and why is it being treated based on the percentages or like the numbers? Why can't we be treated based on our skills, our capabilities that we have? Like, you know, when you're hiring and you say you have like a team leader role, and you're hiring between, and your final two choices are between like a male and a female, and the female is supposedly married and has a child. Like, sometimes like you will end up hiring the male because you'll think they don't have as much responsibility, whereas the mother will have to go home at an early, like leave work early to kind of go home and take care and handle like the other personal side. Like, because women have more responsibilities, I guess sometimes like a few of the higher roles are given out to like males, yeah.
Is it fair to say Suncorp is a role model in this respect to addressing this gender or diversity issue?
Yeah, no, I think like from what I've seen here before, like our leaders, like our delivery leaders, our executive managers and EGMs, you know, we do have like women that are great representatives in these roles. And it's nice to see them being, it's nice to see them push forward. So I think it's pretty fine at Suncorp.
What would be the most rewarding moment of your work?
Most rewarding? Right now I'm working on a superannuation project where we're going to deliver superannuation through like advisors out to the customers soon. We'll be launching an application for super and for pension. It will be going out live hopefully next week or in 2 weeks. And it will be nice to see the end result, to see how our customers are interacting with this system, how they're like how they're purchasing this new product that we've just established and that we've created from scratch. So it'll be like, for me, that's a rewarding moment to see what it's like out there. And yeah, and for like I've seen this I've been in this project from day one to kind of see nothing but paper requirements to actually seeing the end system. It's great to see how because I've been on this journey for long, to see something evolve and like create a tangible product. So.
What is your career plan for the future?
So my long-term goal is to go into project management, and that's where I'd like to see myself and set myself up for. And that can take any time from like a few years to at least like maybe 10 years. It depends on how I want like my learning curve and development plan that I have in place.
As a project manager, can you talk us through a bit about what will be the necessary steps that you have to take to get there?
So I want to go into project management because I want to be able, I want to be involved in the end-to-end delivery of a project that I work on. I want to be able to manage it. So in order to get there, there are a number of steps that you can take. It can be shifting up in role, moving up in roles. So one area that I have been looking into is iteration management. And that's a role where you focus inwards with the team. You kind of work towards managing the team, the work that they do, the resourcing that's involved, and the planning for that iteration, the 2 weeks that we have to deliver a piece of work. As well as organising meetings on a regular basis to see how the team's tracking, as well as have retrospectives on how the team is performing or when they have any concerns or issues that they would like to talk about.
Do you have any general advice for us as a first-year IT students?
Yep. Try to get a feel for the different majors that are available to you guys, so you guys have a lot more exposure. Get involved in any projects that they are offering, so that way you can have insight on what the end-to-end delivery is like for a project. Look for cadet programs or internships that they're offering. If say a particular paper that you're doing involves presentations and you're not very confident, push yourself, get in there, get involved in presentations. It will help build up your confidence. So once you come out into the real workforce, that is what you're doing as a BA. You are communicating with everyone around you. So it is a core, it's a core aspect of your day-to-day job. So as part of your degree, start early, be able to communicate with different, people around, in class. Why don't you, rather than just sitting with your group of friends, go out, start sitting next to other people, get to know what they're doing. It's all about building that confidence that you have, as well as get involved in other team sports, or, start mixing yourself with different teams and groups, have that diversity in what you're doing in your degree.
Do you have any advice for those of us who are interested or even just considering in becoming a business analyst?
As I've said, communication is very crucial. So always, a good way to build up communication would be being able to talk to different people, presenting, knowing whether you're articulating yourself correctly. Another good way would be to kind of go out there and see if you can start pairing with other BAs to see how they work on a day-to-day basis, to get a feel for what it is really like and what their role is all about. It's not the same every day. We're going through different challenges, every day or so.
Are there any classes we can take at uni, or are there any skills out of class we can work on?
If they have a people's course, or if UTS offers a people's or a planet unit, sorry, before I answer, do you guys do that? Have a people's courses, where you directly work on projects with people? It's not IT related, but it's about working with people.
Does this class count? It's a communication for IT professionals.
Okay, yeah. So in a similar class to what you're doing, pick up courses that involve a lot of communication and working in groups. That will really expand your skill set in terms of communication and the way you kind of work with other people, because that's very important. Collaboration is another crucial thing. So work on projects that you have available to you at uni. Try to take those opportunities that you have.
That will be our interview for today. Thank you very much for Harika.
Thank you, Jane.